exactly. And there's a very good freedom fighter with us up out of New Hampshire or the New England area that's working on this, and she's very good at this. She's got a doctoral, I'm not sure exactly what it's in, but it leads to credibility. A lot of people don't believe that our government's capable of this type of stuff, yet we've got endless sources that show they not only are capable of it, actively working on it.
Email that information to us on air at therealnewsradio.com, and I think that's a very interesting story, and we'll go into that and do a segment on it here in the coming weeks. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and again, appreciate you guys being on the air and helping to inform us and bring us up to date on this stuff. And I enjoyed your interview this morning with Mr. Barr. Quite a change of attitude towards the candidates that we have running now, and I use that word lightly because I just don't feel like what we've got running for us now. It's kind of like relief pitchers, and we don't have a ace in the hole for us right now. We need somebody to step up and represent us.
Amen. I agree with you on that. Well, I appreciate you calling. Call back anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, this week we saw the U.S. deficit zooming to $500 billion. We got another phone call.
When they made these tasers, I can see it sometimes they may need them. But don't they realize that not everybody has the same physical being? Say that young man, and I'm not standing up for anybody, but that young man, another man, might have a heart problem. Electric shock to the system might just offset that heart.
Well, I agree with you. I think there's a substantial enough evidence that tasers cause deaths that could be prevented. You know, just 6 months ago, I believe it was, in Charlotte, we saw a 16, 17-year-old kid killed outside a food line.
Exactly.
Last week, there was a preacher tased coming out of a hospital, and we've got a story right here that, and Brian's going to do a segment next week, most likely, on tasers, where a kid in Missouri was tasered 19 times after a 30-foot fall and had a broke back. So there's a lot of evidence. We're not here to make anyone look bad, but we've got to, for the safety of the people, address what's really going on. And this gentleman being inside the jail, it just looks to me like maybe it could have been handled differently. We're not going to get out on one side or the other quite yet, but I do promise everyone the Real News is going to follow this story.
Well, that story about the preacher only ran a couple times, and then they didn't have it on again. So it has the whole essence of what happened to the man.
Yeah, we've got the story here, and Brian's going to go into it, this case, and the one in Missouri next week. And that's what happens with the press. Something like that really is news a day or two in its history, just like this anthrax case where this gentleman committed suicide. Come Sunday or Monday, you'll never hear about it again. It'll fell off the memory hole. But we are going to follow this case. And is there anything else you'd like to add today? I appreciate you calling.
Well, just that we support you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. This week we saw the U.S. deficit zooming to $500 billion. The deficit will hit $482 billion in 2009, budget year that will be inherited by Democrat Barack Obama or John McCain. The White House has estimated Monday, and this figure is sure to rise after adding the tens of billions of dollars in addition for the Iraq war funding that it doesn't include. The administration actually underestimates the deficit since it leaves out $80 billion in war costs. In a break from tradition and in violation of new mandates from Congress, the White House did not include these full estimates. Also, we saw this week that the Congress also this week was kind enough to raise the statutory limit on the national debt to $10.6 trillion. Who says the Congress doesn't think ahead? Runaway yearly deficits, record yearly deficits. This is a government that is broke. Don't we deserve a government that works? This ought to be considered treason to go incompetently bungle our finances, sell out our middle class, sell out our children's future and their children's too. We are witness to watching our government borrow more and more money, raise our debt by trillions, sending out stimulus checks while printing $3 trillion out of thin air, during the past 4 years, we're seeing banks collapsing, rapid inflation, a devaluing of our currency. It's about time we hold our officials accountable. This is unacceptable, people. It is high time we take our country back and quit submitting to the wholesale sellout of our country and our kids' futures. Every week we have a poll, and this week on our poll we had Iredell County for its new $480 well permit, the media for its godlike worship of Obama, for those that blame for the fluoride atrocity, lawmakers profiting off the war, and those in Congress that deny the truth about the Iraq war, and poll is hypocrite of the week. And this week, our winner is Iredell County for its new $480 well permit, which, although it was the winner, we've got no email really on it. I thought this would be something that would really upset people they could get behind, because I think it flies in the face of freedom here. You can't have water on your property without marching down and getting permission. It's just unbelievable. And every week we have a quote of the week, and this week the quote of the week was, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance," and that was Thomas Jefferson. And next week, again, we've got local history buff and radio host Brian Peake that will be discussing the Gulf of Tonkin incidents. Come out now. It was completely faked. Freedom of Information Act. It was a false flag event. The USS Liberty, if you're not aware of that, we're going to cover some of that. We're also going to be covering tasering and getting ready for a 3-week discussion on the facts and fiction of 9/11. Again, our website's therealnewsradio.com. It's a work in progress. Email us on air at therealnewsradio.com. We'd like to hear from our listeners, suggestions, and until next week, this is Farron on WSIC 1400 and WDSL 1520 saying, God help us all.